What's going on, guys? Chad here. Just want to give a quick update. As expected, markets are starting to collapse. Talked about this a few months ago when the Nasdaq was like 20% higher. It's now collapsed. It's getting oversold, which we'll go over in the charts, but it's not probably not bottoming yet. I mean, it's probably going to bottom and then rally and then recollapse. So I would expect commodities to get hit pretty hard with this coming collapse. Um, that's no guarantee, and I think they're going to find a bottom much sooner than expected. Um, and the Fed is currently trying to raise rates into this collapse, which is dangerous. I mean, it's dangerous to not raise rates, but it's also dangerous to raise rates. They're like we were talking. They're in a predicament that they can't get themselves out of, and they're going to use every excuse in the book to do what they're going to do, and the negative consequences are going to happen on either direction. So either we go straight into hyperinflation or we go into deflation, and they print money, and then we go into hyperinflation later. So there's a lot of things that can be happening right now. Price swings can get very volatile, and look out, it's going to get crazy. Like I was saying last video, look out, it's going to get crazy. Now we've reached that point, and we will see what the Fed says. They are going to add insult to injury by raising rates into a head and shoulders pattern, and I suspect that this will be the last uh, rate rise that they potentially do. We'll see. I mean, if they try to raise rates again, I mean, again, they're going to prick this bubble, and it's going down. So you need to be on the other side of this thing, at least maneuvering somewhat around this. And I want to get to something that's a little scary. Food. Get your food in order. Doesn't hurt to have uh, a bulk amount of food. You're gonna eat it anyways. Just don't be stupid with it. Don't let it go bad. Don't buy stuff that goes bad. But if you're gonna eat it, that's your best investment right now. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say this. This has all been hypothetical in my mind for the last 15 to 16 years. I've had panic attacks over this. But my hypothetical is now, it's surreal actually putting this into words out there right now because you need to get your food in order by starting now. I think it'll be obvious that we're going to be in a food crisis by the third or fourth quarter of this year. And it saddens me to say that, but you and I can't do anything about it. We're not, we're not farmers. I mean, the average age of a farmer is 58 years old. Go figure. Highest suicide rate in the world is a farmer. Farmers are not appreciated, and they're old. And this fertilizer situation, I'm not going to go into that, but that could be a separate video. But I've been talking about this for 10 years now that, Jim Rogers always said the average age of a farmer is 58. And someday it's going to be a problem. And everything's lining up right now that that's coming to a problem. And it's not because farmers are 58. That's not the reason why we're having a problem, but it adds to the process because, like, they're getting really old. And it's the least studied degree, I believe. There's not a lot of people going to college to study farming. Not that you need to go to college to study farming because you're studying something that is kind of unsustainable. Farming, the current model of farming just requires not to produce soil. It's just to throw chemicals on plants. And that is not going to bode well for the world in the coming decades. We need to fix our soil. We need to talk with local governments to start letting people raise their chickens. Where I'm from, you can't even raise chickens in the town. Like, I can understand the rooster situation where, it's waking everybody up, but why aren't they letting people raise hens? I mean, you can't even grow a garden in your front yard in a lot of the places that surround us. And that's just a side note. Um, Municipalities really need to reconsider um, the their policies. Let's just leave it at that because I don't want to get into that. It's uh, talking about Russia here. I'm gonna be all over the place today. Kind of fired up. I've been reading this article in Russian and translating it. I'm not gonna go into it because I don't know if this is even like allowed to talk about on YouTube anymore. Like, I don't even know if it's allowed to be, to talk about this stuff that it doesn't get censored, or like ghosted. Maybe eventually it will, because you could not talk about the virus in certain ways, or you get shadow banned or banned. And basically, what this article is saying is, I'll get into the economics part of it because the rest you can read for yourself, and um, they make some valid points. I would say it's always good. I don't trust anybody, so I don't trust what comes out of the U.S. I don't trust what comes out of China. I don't trust what comes out of Russia, but I do pay attention to what they say and do. And I believe that Russia is starting a new currency, and that's part of what's going on in the world. Put it this way: no country has been able to successfully start their own currency without the dollar, without being militarily provoked, let's say. And since 2014, we've been meddling in uh, the neighbor of Russia. I'm not even going to mention their name. And, you don't switch out a currency without creating an event and a distraction, a, some sort of a vacuum. And it appears that Russia is starting the gold standard. And if you look at the Russian ruble in the last few months, it's collapsed, and then uh, it has recovered all of its losses. Um, I'm going to try to look up this ruble USD. And if you look at see this collapse here, it's collapsed, and this is the invasion. Ruble collapse. Now it's above the invasion's level. That's remarkable. And the only thing I can attribute that is the starting of Russia moving into a gold standard. And it's not that people trust Russia. It's nobody trusts anybody right now. And the world is breaking apart, and gold is the anchor to commerce. Because if no one trusts anybody, they're going to use gold to they should use gold anyway. This is the reason why this is so messed up, because we've gone into a system where governments just print money whenever they need it, and it's starting to cause chaos. And so gold is the anchor. It always has been. It's not Bitcoin. Although Bitcoin could have a role in this, I'm not saying it can't, but I would look at Bitcoin's price to see if it is gaining traction in this time, because this is the time for Bitcoin and gold to shine. We all know gold is suppressed. I mentioned last time that silver, it's going to get hit again in the last video, and they did. They hit it, and that's nothing. It's not expected. Russia knows that the gold is being hit in the West and the gold price, and Russia and China have been buying gold like crazy since 2014, 2015. Looking at Bitcoin's chart, this is where Bitcoin should be shining. It is struggling. It's below this flag. 40,000 looks like the 20-day moving average is resistance. It was resistant. 200-day was resistance. Excuse me. Now it's tipping down, and it appears that this thing is going to crack. No guarantees. Bitcoin is a wild, loose cannon, but it looks like it could go down to 20,000 or below, and it's not performing well, let's say. So look out for that. I would say Bitcoin above, let's see, 48,000 would negate what I'm saying and could actually go to a new all-time high easily. But for now, down, and it's in a downtrend, and it remains in a downtrend until it's not. So look out. These people that own Bitcoin, they are literally, it's a religion, and they're hodling. And this is a 2 year block where all these people own this thing below, let's say, 30,000 and above, 30,000 and to 60,000. This huge chunk of people will be wiped out. It's going to be a religious experience if that is the case. And this is just an algorithm. So let's watch it because, what gets gold out of a bear market is it actually goes below the production value, like the mining value, and gold is needed in the real world, so it can't really go below the production cost for a long extended period of time. But what's to say that Bitcoin can't go below, and if it goes below what solves gold bear markets and I'm referring to gold because gold is the ultimate currency, the ultimate form of money, let's say. Um, and if Bitcoin's compared to gold, we should discuss on how uh, gold bear markets end, and they end with, I mean, take out the suppression scheme. They end by two things. One, governments stop printing money and they go into a deflationary collapse where the gold price balances out all debts and all the money in the economy, and they part ways essentially. Or the price goes below production. So the people start using it in commerce more. Like you're going to use gold if it's cheap. You're just going to use it more. And so eventually the world runs out of gold and the price has to go up obviously to mine it, more of it. Bitcoin on the other hand, what's Bitcoin? It's an algorithm that costs a lot to mine. There's a lot of energy involved. What stops a bear market in Bitcoin? I don't know. We don't know. Could it go to zero? It could. I'm not saying it could. It's going to go to zero. I mean, but it would be reasonable to expect this thing to just tank if energy prices are rising and no one wants it. It's an ecosystem. It's based on literally what people think it's valued at. And the only way Bitcoin survives really is if it's either stable, like in a really tight trend, or if it goes up. If it goes down for a 3 to 5 period, what's to say Ethereum or some other blockchain doesn't evolve into something better and we all go into that? Like there's infinite amount of these things. Peter Schiff is right about that. And you need to look at his arguments because although he's been wrong about the price of Bitcoin, he's been right about how many it's not finite. Cryptos are not finite because yes, Bitcoin's finite, but it can be replaced by a million different other cryptos. And gold and silver are like there's not many metals that can be, fit those descriptions of money. So we'll see how this plays out. It'll be interesting. I'm not against Bitcoin. I think it's a great idea. I also a blockchain is obviously the future. NFTs are the future, but will they collapse? Probably. Keep that in mind. I'd like to see a 3 to 5 year bear market in Bitcoin and wipe out all the speculators. And then, then it might find a bottom and can become something. But for now, it's like speculative money and it's changing lives. People are making fortunes and people are losing a lot of money. I like to stay out of that for now. Um, Marijuana stocks were the same thing in like 2014, 2015. James Dines was uh, recommending pot stocks way before the uptrend started, and those things went bananas. And everybody got into them, and I was lucky enough to be a part of some of that, and he recommended selling and getting out of that, while it was just getting into its euphoria phase, and marijuana stocks have done nothing for a long time. Um, Nasdaq is, look at this, worst month since 2008, but look at the height of this thing. Hasn't done anything yet. This is still in nosebleed levels, so look out. This could easily fall down. We talked about this in the last uh, talk, but it could easily fall down to 9,500. And I'm just going to go through these real quick. Clearly in a downtrend, USD is just, the dollar is rising like crazy. And the only time I've ever seen the dollar do this is before a liquidity event, like where everything's collapsing. Um, and it's possible that we're headed towards that. But there's another thought that I have, and I could easily be dead wrong about this because um, I have no proof of this. It's a thought. And I'm not going to look for proof because I'm just going to watch the dollar, see what it does. But the dollar may be rising because people are getting out of contracts that are in the dollar. And so therefore they need to cash out of their negotiations across the globe, and which means they're selling stocks, buying dollars, selling debt, their obligations in dollars, ending all that, and they need to get their dollars. They need to get the dollars out. So in order to get the dollars, you need to buy the dollars. But then eventually you need to sell the dollars, and the dollars will come back like a tsunami back to the US. And whenever that happens, look out, because the Fed has to print in this. They have to reverse course, and a lot of dollars are going to come flooding back here at the same time the Fed is going to have to print. And the world could be ending this monetary system, the current US dollar-based monetary system, as a world's reserve currency. And that could cause tremendous inflation, hyperinflation at some point. Don't expect that to happen tomorrow, but it's got to be on the radar. We're more than likely going into deflation right now. Copper's down. Copper's, still in an uptrend, looking okay, but it looks like it wants to fall out of this uptrend, which it still hasn't yet. So no conclusion yet, but it's looking weaker. It could fall all the way down to 320 a pound before it bottoms. Put call ratio is starting to get long to the tooth. We still could have one more spike down. This head and shoulders pattern, like I was saying, is right here, and the Fed is raising rates into it. Never happened before. Ultra short real estate going up like we're talking. You want to go all the way up to 48 to 50 before there's a conclusion on that one. Anyways, I'm gonna make this one short. Looks like everything is tanking as expected. Gold is looking well. Let's talk about gold. Gold is looking okay. As I was saying, it's probably gonna tank on Monday, and it did. Friday was silver expiration of the contracts. They always slam silver and gold into these contracts expirations. It happens every time, at least 90% of the time. So you can always just expect, if there's a Fed meeting or an option expiration, just expect them to slam the gold price. Or if there's any sensitive economic data, expect them to slam the gold price. It is what it is. That's what they do. They slam the gold price 100. It's leveraged 100 to 1 or whatever it's leveraged at. 100 of the same people own the same ounce. And that's how they fractionalize gold and create digital gold. But at some point, the game ends, and I think we're getting close to that. Gold breaking 1960 would be a good indication of that, but 2100 or 2000 would be a weekly close above 2000. would be convincing, let's say, that this system is starting to unravel. That to me, gold needs to be watched. It just does. It is the truth teller, and that's why it's suppressed. And so, breaking 1960 or 2000, 1960 would be a start. 2000 would be even more important, and look for it to just go vertical after that. And if it does go vertical, look out. I, for now, it was going the opposite of stocks. Now it's kind of neutral. Like it's holding up well, but it's um, not like it's not going up as much relative to stock, inversely to the stock market. So we have to watch for that. If it starts going vertical with the stock market, or just going vertical regardless, got to be on the radar. It's got to be on your radar. Other than that, I'm just going to watch this as it plays out, update it as needed. This is all I got. Like I said, I'm just monitoring this as usual. I don't have any crystal ball. I'm not saying all this. I'm not saying I know everything or I know exactly what's going to happen. This is just stuff I'm looking at. And, I still have to make decisions in life. And sometimes I get so frustrated with some of these things that I just have to vent it and just get it out there. So, anyways, take care. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next